Something's been bothering me about indie animation lately.
We think your ideas suck!
They're all just the same with different costumes.
You watched 32 hours of content for something you thought was mid. What do you think they could have did to make it better?
I don't know. The title?
Why are you so f***ing negative all the time?
I'm currently working on a video about the end of The Boys that's turning out to be a behemoth. So to tide over the algorithm, I started making a video about how it feels like the indie animation community is falling apart. But that started turning into a long video too. So while I'm cooking both of those up, I wanted to share a thought that's been on my mind lately when it comes to the indie animation scene, which is stop relying on glitch. Lately, if you look online, there's been a lot of animosity towards glitch productions and all of their shows. While some of those grievances are valid and others are just joining in on a dog pile, there is one critique I see consistently that, while understandable to an extent, exposes a flaw in how a lot of animation fans view both glitch and the indie scene. Something that ignores the appeal and most empowering aspect of any animation in the first place. And it's the idea that glitch doesn't have enough variety for their liking. That, with the exception of whatever comes out of Glitch Presents, all of their shows fit the same archetype. Narrative-driven shows with a woman as a central character that sprinkles lore along the way and is full of quirky humor. Bonus points if it has a cute, colorful aesthetic that's juxtaposed by darker elements. It looks like it's for kids, but it's not! However, it's not necessarily for grown adults either. Like, none of this is trying to be animation's equivalent of Breaking Bad. Because we already have that, it's called Common Side Effects, and it kicks ass. I think it's fair to say this is Glitch's brand by this point. These are the kind of shows they're known for and are comfortable making, which is a problem for a lot of people. They want Glitch to go outside their comfort zone and take a swing at something episodic, maybe a musical or a show that's entirely for the boys. That it's a bad thing they haven't done any of that yet, and I can't help but ask,
why?
I get it. Glitch is the biggest face in the indie sphere. They've raised the bar and have come closest to building a sustainable pipeline to produce multiple shows at the same time. They have the resources to provide consistent TV quality animation that's honestly starting to put the big Western studios to shame. But it feels like because of that, people want them to be the one-stop shop for indie animation, providing everything that people feel is lacking in the animation scene, as opposed to just filling a certain niche. Which misses the point of what Glitch is trying to do, while, in my opinion, disregarding other indie projects and depriving creatives of building something that can be on par with Glitch Productions. Like, sir, this is a Wendy's. If you're in the mood for some Mexican, there's a locally owned joint down the street that tastes great and would love your business. There's a few reasons why I think Glitch's knack for making a certain type of show is a-okay, with the primary one being their mission statement, telling you straight up what you're going to get. We make animated shows for the internet, the kind inspired by Flash animations and millennial anime that we used to watch online. We wanted to bring the kind of energy, passion, and community that other parts of the world have shown for teen and young adult animation, but always seemed lacking in the mainstream Western animation industry. So we decided to make shows that we wanted to watch. And since then, we found that millions of other people want to watch those shows too. We handle everything from development to distribution to ensure that everything about our series are made the way we like it. Keywords right there. The way Glitch likes it. And the way they like it is exactly as they describe here. Glitch being inspired by Flash animations explains all the quirky random humor in their shows, as that was prevalent in animations on Newgrounds and 2010's YouTube. Their love for millennial anime explains why these shows have an overarching story, yet don't always feel super serialized where every episode extensively moves the plot forward. Hell, when Digital Circus officially ends, you're gonna see a lot of people argue that most of the show was filler because it didn't start digging into the big mysteries until the third to last episode. But that, along with their other shows, harkens back to the golden age of 13 to 26 episode anime that also had bigger pictures, yet spent plenty of time just exploring the characters and having one-offs before locking in during the final few episodes. It also explains why a lot of Glitch shows only run for a season or two, beyond expenses and sustainability. Just like a lot of the anime they grew up with, these shows aren't meant to run forever, which inherently goes against the agenda of a lot of big studios and TV channels that want to find their own SpongeBob that get milked for decades. Glitch's catalog offers finite stories with a beginning, middle, and end planned out from the jump, which is something I've been vocal about missing from cartoons for years now. Short, bingeable series that don't have to pretend to be sitcoms before getting into the real meat of it all. The fact they're targeting a teen to young adult demographic also explains why their shows tend to fit a certain archetype. As someone who started this channel as a teen entering young adulthood, I can confidently say that while a lot of cartoon enjoyers at that age can get behind sitcoms and shows that are just about hanging out, the lore tunes definitely are the most appealing. It offers the most discussion, theorizing where the story's gonna go, and what the next episode could look like, tiding people over between installments, and offering more replay value as fans want to catch all the hidden details and potential bits of foreshadowing. Trust me, I've been to the Comic-Cons where studios will pair up the panels of episodic cartoons with serialized cartoons. More often than not, people would show up to the episodic panel just so they could get a good seat for the serialized panel. It's very obvious that lore cartoons draw the bigger audience. I also think that glitch shows filling a certain mold is the price to pay with their shows being free and available on YouTube. By existing primarily on this platform, they have to play ball with the algorithm. Even if it seems like nothing Glitch can post could fail, I believe they're as beholden to the algorithm as anyone else. And for them, the algorithm wants these kind of shows. Yet, I don't think this makes Glitch just like the big corporate studios, or that this is restricting their collaborators creatively. Indie providing creative freedom and Glitch looking for shows that fit their brand are two statements that can coexist. I truly believe the creators at Glitch are making the shows that they want. In the case of Gameoverse and Knights of Guinevere, the concept for these shows existed prior to Glitch coming into the picture. They just happen to be perfect fits. We want a short serialized cartoon starring at least one girl doesn't limit creative freedom if the creators already wants to make that too. And if they want to make something different, then creators shouldn't just shrug their shoulders and give up on the project because, oh, Glitch isn't interested. No! That should give you the incentive to make your dream cartoon on your own terms, instead of holding out for Glitch to give you the resources to make it happen. They're not a shortcut for all indie creators. They have their own vision. Limiting creative freedom is stuff like the girls in Amphibia having to be 13-year-old middle schoolers instead of 16-year-old high schoolers as Matt Brawley originally intended. It's forcing Hexside to be a prominent location in the first season of the Owl House because a school setting is more relatable. It's demanding that most episodes of Steven Universe be largely episodic for syndication and reserving story arcs or other long stretches of plot for the bomb format. Fun fact, Cartoon Network asked OKKO to do a story arc designed to air in a bomb format, only to not air it as a bomb, and then told them to never do that shit again. As far as we know, Glitch is allowing the creators to do whatever they want. Dana Terrace even said as much. There's no demand for things like holiday episodes or to include certain locations or characters for the sake of viewership, which is why, minus surface level similarities you could draw without actually watching these shows, none of them feel the same. If you're seriously gonna tell me that Digital Circus, Gaslight District, Knights of Guinevere, and Gameoverse all feel the same because, oh, female lead, bright colors, dark story, aside from Gaslight District that has a deliciously grimy aesthetic, I'm gonna assume you're either stubborn and refuse to change the opinion you formed while window shopping, or you haven't actually sat down and watched these shows without doom scrolling on your phone or surfing the web in another tab. To me, Glitch in their brand is akin to Fox's animation domination or the Toonami block over on Adult Swim, where clearly they have a preference for what kind of shows make it on the block. For ADHD, it's episodic family ensemble sitcoms. And you don't see anyone asking for that block to add a gritty crime drama with lore, nor is anyone saying that Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, and Family Guy are all the same show, you know? Because if you tried to say that with your chest, people would look at you like you're crazy. They all have their distinct vibe, yet complement each other nicely when put back to back for 2 hours every week. And it's the same thing with Glitch. These shows are distinct, yet complement each other. And I don't expect the kind of shows they make to change anytime soon. And frankly, I don't think they have any obligation to. They found their niche, and if it ain't broke, I see zero reason to fix it. Obviously, there are some things I agree with, like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing more melanin up in there. Give me a show by Black creative. But I think grilling Glitch for not making the kind of cartoons you want to see is misguided, which brings me to my next point. I feel like the main reason why people feel like something's missing from Glitch is because they're comfortable viewing them as the channel for indie, instead of a channel that's proving it's something that can be turned into a viable option for creatives. The bigger they get, the more it seems like a lot of people are content with it being their only fix for independent animation, or that because they've already reached a higher quality, they don't want to give other projects a chance because it won't have that level of polish, even though the only way for those projects to reach that level is for them to receive the same kind of support Glitch had that allowed them to make shows like Murder Drones and Digital Circus, two shows that only improved in quality as they progressed. This is partially the fault of social media making us complacent when it comes to seeking things out, as we're being conditioned to have everything served up to us on the silver platters known as the For You feeds and recommendations. It de-incentivizes searching around for yourself, but then you'll fall into the trap of thinking the indie scene only looks like one thing when in reality, you've put yourself in a box. I've also noticed that a good chunk of animation fans are a lot less inclined to check out projects from smaller creators and projects that stray away from the usual casual story-driven outings, even when they are shoved in their face. When in reality, even if it's not your cup of tea, if you really give a shit about indie animation, you would take the 2 seconds to repost these projects just like you would of a glitch promo or fan content based off your favorite indie show. You can still want something to succeed even if it's not your jam, simply because you care about the medium and not your own entertainment. And again, I get it. Story-driven shows give you a lot more to chew on. Indie shows that are straight sitcoms or just want to make you laugh will be a fun time, but it might be a second before you revisit an episode because, while entertaining, there's nothing begging you to rewatch over and over in the hopes of uncovering major secrets. This doesn't mean they deserve to be overlooked, and if you're someone who prefers cartoons with an ongoing plot, you shouldn't overlook the episodic stuff. You might be surprised by what actually gels with you. And these cartoons shouldn't only be given a shot because you recognize some of the names. Put yourself in a small creator's shoes, especially because odds are, you might want to be that small creator making their dream work. There are so many well-produced indie animated series that I feel like deserve more attention, that give people exactly what they've been looking for, but because it doesn't come from a big YouTube channel or someone with a massive following online, people choose to sleep on it. I feel like Sublo and Taking Mustard should be huge, yet the most successful thing to come from that series are the Geeky Girl shorts. I wonder if that could say anything about the viewer and why Glitch feels comfortable sticking with female protagonists. Yeah, I'm probably just overthinking it. Monkey Wrench is a great sci-fi dude bro show, yet I've seen tweets trying to accuse it of being an industry plant and refusing to give it a chance just because they think it's funny to see it not be as successful as other indie animated shows, which is cruel, and something that I want to talk about in that other indie animation video I'm cooking up, about how mean cartoon fans have gotten, especially with indie animation. My homie Bree has her show The Three Tomes, a romance action vampire show that's full of black girl magic, and while I have seen love for it pick up, I still feel like so many people are sleeping on it, despite it delivering what plenty of people have been asking for. Another one of my best friends, Snufrik Tariq, has been working on his show Hey for 5 years, and it's just a traditional sitcom, but man, am I in love with it. I'm in love with all the characters already, and as someone who grew up on some old-fashioned Cartoon Network hijinks, I can guarantee that this is the hilarious slice-of-life kickback show that a lot of people have been looking for. Glitch can't give you everything, and by placing all these expectations on them to make X, Y, and Z, when they've already made it clear what their MO is, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment and demotivating other creators from making what you want to see because they think you won't care because they're not Glitch or another channel that has millions of subscribers and TV quality animation. Be the change you wish to see, y'all. You gotta make those opportunities for yourself. You gotta make the shows you want to see a reality if you feel like no one else will. But stop relying on Glitch to deliver something they've never promised that they probably aren't interested in making. What's appealing about indie animation is that everyone can do it. When I see people complaining that Glitch isn't making X, Y, and Z, I get bummed out because it feels like people don't really care about indie animation anymore. They just want their next hyperfixation beamed to their screens with studio quality animation from the jump and believe there's only one channel where they can get that from, which is Bleak. In a perfect world, Glitch should be one of many successful indie studios who are releasing their work on YouTube. But the only way we're gonna get there is if you stop depending solely on them and support or create other projects, even if those projects won't have the same resources at their disposal. Hell, the only way they can get those resources is through your support. But as always, these are just my thoughts and I want to hear yours. How do you feel about Glitch and the state of indie animation? Let's get a dialogue going in the comments down below and keep that conversation going over on Twitter and Instagram at AllSharkVox and at Roundtable Vids. Support us for just $1 over at Patreon, and if you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Peace!
What we do here is go back.
Need something to throw on while you draw, study, or sleep? Roundtable Rewind's got you covered. So why not take a stroll down memory lane and subscribe?
No one can tell me what to do.
See you there.